Okay, today I'm going to cook a couple of fillets, and I'm going to do it using a sous vide cooker. First thing I'm going to do is salt the steaks and let them rest for a minute. I'm also going to put a little pepper on them. Now I'm going to put them each in an individual sous vide bag and suck the air out of it with this little device that came with it. I've done this with freezer bags, so they both seem to work fine. The problem is getting the air out of it. It's harder to get the air out of the freezer bag, and you really want to get all the air out so that the bag will not float. There it goes. Okay, that's good. Okay, so now we have 2 steaks in vacuumed bags so that there's no air in them and they won't float. Now we're going to begin the sous vide. It's going to warm the water until it gets to 140 degrees, and at that point we'll put the steaks in. Okay, now I'm going to put the steaks in the sous vide. So it's hot, and it appears that they are going to stay down, so I'm going to put the cover over them to help keep the moisture in while they cook. They're going to cook for 2 hours now, and at that point we'll finish up. It doesn't look like much, does it? But what's happening is the water is going to be held steady at 140 degrees, which is the temperature of a medium steak. In 2 hours, it won't be hotter than 140, it'll be 140 all the way through. And what we'll do then is take it and cook it on a skillet, hot skillet, to give it the crust, and we'll probably put some additional flavoring such as thyme and some other things at that point. But this is an interesting way to cook. I'm not terribly familiar with it. I've only done it once or twice before. This was a gift, and I'm still learning how to use it. But it appears to be useful. One thing to remember about when you're doing a sous vide, that the water is pretty hot. The water is only 140 degrees, but that would certainly be uncomfortable. So when you're taking it apart, be aware. The next step is I've got to dry these off. And we heat the pan. Now we're going to add a little oil to the pan because we're going to sear the steaks in it. A couple tablespoons of oil should be fine, and then we're going to add a tablespoon or 2 of butter just for flavor purposes. Once the butter is melted, then we're going to add the steaks to begin to sear. Now add the steak and let it sear on each side. I would turn it over after a minute, and I would also try and sear the edges to give it a nice color. Now here I'm adding thyme, which is a great flavor for steaks. Thyme and butter make an excellent addition to steaks when you're searing them. So I'm going to add it a couple times in this process, and I'm also going to spoon the juices over the steaks to help add additional flavor. Carefully tilt the pan and use a spoon and spoon the hot oil, which includes the thyme, the butter, and some of the flavor from the steak, back on top of the steak to add additional flavor. When the steak is seared to your satisfaction, remove it to a paper towel to let it drain for a minute. Then you're ready to serve it. Now I'm going to have mine with a little salad, so I'm going to take it and slice it a little bit. It's actually very tender. I'm just not using the right knife to cut it with. As you can see by the color, it's almost a perfect medium. 140 degrees for 2 hours. Not undercooked, not overcooked. Just right. I will say this is the best way I've ever prepared a steak. It's exactly the right color and doneness, and the crust is good. The flavor is good, and it's so tender you can cut it with a fork. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please subscribe. It really helps. Thanks a bunch.